I'll just do a semi intro here. Good afternoon, Shaggy SoCal with Tour for Forza, and second track guide here for this coming races in Thursday Night Thunder will be at Catalunya on the national circuit. And so, like all the track guides I do, I'm going to go out and run a couple of laps just to kind of refresh my brain on what this car, how this car likes or doesn't like this course, and do a slower kind of track walk, turn by turn, talking about what I'm looking for, what I think the car likes, what things to watch out for. There's a couple things that might catch you by surprise here. And then because I do need to practice questionable racecraft, I will do a mock race against the Drivatars. It also helps me kind of help validate what we think the race length will be on Thursday. So with that, let's go ahead and start running some laps. Okay. Break here just before the 100 board here on the cold tires and on a short run to turn one. Late apex as you crest back over. Turn in just about when you're going to shift to third. Up the hill. Careful of that curbing. I'll talk about that one in a little bit. Let's see. Any surprises here? Not yet. Third gear. I'm going to wind it out this time. There's a lot of it inside curbing or inside grass, and at least from my own testing, not get a time penalty. Ooh, push, 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 push. Tires aren't fully up to temp yet. That's a lot more curbing than I want to take there because it's these curbs I want to abuse. That's a little wide. Again, tires. Let's do one more lap because the tires should be up to temperature and should be up to grip now. So heading down to turn one, I'm going to actually brake right about the 150 board. Probably brake a little bit later. The 100 was too late for me. A little bit late, a little too much speed. Probably need to work on that one a little bit. About as aggressive as I want to take that, that chicane. When I call it a chicane because it is an immediate left-right, even though you're kind of doing it at fairly high speed. I want to do one more flyer. There's two things I want to show, and that the approach. If you notice through that fast, right left, I kept it in third. I wound it all the way up and kept it in third through there. This time I'm going to see if I can do it in fourth, or what it feels like in fourth. A little bit of wheel spin there. There's the bump. A little bit late. So I'm still working on that one. too much curve, too aggressive on the turn in. And I'm still working on the entry for that. All right. All right, let's do the slow track walk of Catalunya, and I'll tell you what I'm kind of looking for, things you might want to experiment with, and so you figure out what works best for you. So for me, heading down the front straightaway, again, I'm on mediums right now on the hard tire compound. That 150 board is what I'm using as the main reference. So, um, on the medium, I can brake maybe just a little bit past that. The soft might be able to brake, you know, a little closer, maybe more where the kind of the track worker stand is there. That might be, even on softs, that might be too late. Hards are probably going to be back at 150, but regardless, you're in whatever top gear we're in fifth gear, brake down to second. And so ideally, I'm still kind of in the philosophy of front wheel drive car. I want to try and get it through these slower turns where I'm going to late apex on the way out, because again, the late apex allows me to straighten out, and there might even be, on your own, there might even be go really wide and then really turn the car and then have a really straight, be way wide out. I think there's some compromises you need to do, especially if you're racing in traffic. You don't want to leave a door so wide open that somebody behind thinks they can shoot the gap here at turn one, realize they can't go all four tires off, and then take you out and spin you out in the corner, and then go on to win the race. We don't want to see that happen again. So I think for me, it's still kind of a wide entry with a late apex, and this transition from the proper front straightaway to then kind of that mini back straightaway on the way back. Uh, this transition road, it is kind of cresting a hill. You're going to be coming over a crown, so just be careful. But I think for me, second gear, probably a little wide out. I'm going to try to get it to the curbing, kind of using the access road there. You can even see where the tire marks are, as kind of that is a way to mark where the apex is. I don't know that I want the car at the curbing with that access road there to the right. It might be a little bit past it where you can see the worn grass on the inside of the curbing. Um, but ideally, on the way out, as you crest the hill, you'll spin the tires up a little bit. I want to bring the car out, but I don't want to go all the way to the left side. This is about as far as I want to bring the car out of that corner, because it's a really short. I've got to bring the car all the way back and really set up for the left-hander heading up the hill. So if I can cut, the exit of turn one a little bit so that I don't have to do as much work to get the car back over, um, that's my preference. So I'm going to bring the car back over. This is what I'm also still trying to figure out gearing wise. I'm going to stay off the outside curbing here. It's high second gear. This is one of those where I think this is just going to take. It's going to take me a few laps to figure out the rhythm for me, because it's high second gear. You're half tempted to go into third, but then then you lose again. It's that heels toes thing with the way the car wants to do the turn in. If you're high second gear, the turn in is going to be a little bit crisper when you let off the gas and turn the car in. If you're in third gear, if you upshift to third gear as you're turning in, the car is going to relax, and then that's going to understeer. So this I'll be playing with. It might be kind of like what I was doing with the Paddock Hill Bend, where it was like, hey, maybe I put it down to third to get the turn in, but as soon as I get the car turned in, pop it back to fourth, so I could take advantage of the torque and like that out of at the apex and out. It might be similar thing here. You might do a second gear on the way in, and then when you get it to the apex, you pop it to third and head up the hill. So I'll be playing around with that myself. Again, that's driver preference. But what I'm aiming to do is I'm going to try for some of these curves, for the yellow, bread loaf curbs on the insides. Most of these turns early on, they're more kind of, I'm using them as reference of where I want to apex the car in the corner. So for this one, again, trying to do the later apex, if I'm going to get to the curb, it's more the second one I want to be at than the first. Though if I'm apexing in between, that's probably okay as well. So second gear or third, pop it up to third on the way up the hill. The tendency in trying to take it as straight as possible, your tendency might be to get the car on these curbs here as well. what I've noticed, I noticed it more on the controller when I was doing tire testing, but even on the wheel, if you get the right sides on the back side of these curbs, you're going to hear that right front spin up. Um, I don't think the traction loss is terrible. It doesn't do anything to pitch the car. It doesn't upset the car as far as handling wise. It might, you know, get the little repeating curb sound. Um, Spinning the tire, it might hurt acceleration slightly, but I don't think it's enough to like, oh, it's going to upset the acceleration so much the car behind will be able to get by you heading up the hill. I don't think that's the case. But just know that there's a little bit of wheel spin there. We'll see how I do, as I'm getting into the race. Old habits die hard. Um, I might be spinning that tire up. It's the left front that takes the most beating anyway. But just know you'll hear a little wheel spin there. Heading up the hill, if you notice on my demo laps, I just routinely will just put the left side tires on the back side and take advantage of this extra green pavement on the way up. Second gear, third gear, I think lap over lap, I'm probably going to leave it in third. Again, it puts the car on its toes a little bit more, helps with the turn in. But this turn and then the next two right left are what I'm still trying to figure out what the right rhythm is. Test drive doesn't give me as many references to look for, so I'm kind of going by feel. But heading up here, there is, even in third gear, not not really. If I'm hitting the brakes at all, it might be just a little cadence tap. Probably it's not as significant enough to slow the car down. If I'm in third gear, just coming off the gas is enough that the gearing is going to, put weight in the nose and help slow the car down. But I'm going to start turning in. What I tend to look for is when the red Circuit de Catalunya painted part of the wall goes out of vision. It's kind of right before the 50 board. You've got the light pole there. It also is right about where the end of the curbing is. That's where I'm kind of committing to the turn in. Because this is the national circuit, this isn't as severe of a right-hander as it is on the full circuit. So you don't necessarily, again, you don't really need to brake. But what I want to point out is if you are going to straddle and put your left sides on this pavement, your turn in, you're going to be turning in. If you turn in a little late, and this is where the first time I hit it was like, ooh, if you're not getting the tires back on the track until after if you're hitting the grass in between the end of the green and getting back on the pavement, just know that you're starting to turn. You've put weight on the left side of the car. When the left rear hits that little grass and catches the lip of the pavement to get back on track, you're going to feel the back end step out a little bit. Again, you just figure, you got your weight on the left side of the car. When that left rear loses traction, the back end of the car is going to step out a little slightly. You'll feel the bump. You might feel the back end. I think if Voodoo and Fearless on a controller, if you do that, you'll feel the back end step out. It's not enough where the car's going to swap ends on you. And front wheel drive car, you're kind of in the gas anyway. Just give it some gas. Let the front of the car pull the back out of the slide. But it is one of those. If you're not, I'm kind of giving you the warning so that when it happens to you, you're kind of like, oh yeah, that's what Shaggy was talking about. Yeah, you'll feel the back end step out. I think for wheel users, I don't know that it's going to be. You'll feel the bump in the wheel. I just don't know. I haven't done enough laps on the wheel yet to know how much the back end will step out because of it. But just know if you're going to straddle the curbing, as you're turning in, you're going to hit that bump, and you might feel the back end step out slightly. So third gear for me here at this point. I am looking for that yellow inside curb or speed bump, bread loaf, whatever they call them, for the apex, let the car come out. And this is where I'm still trying to figure out that I've got no references here that I can consistently look at. For this next right-left chicane, if I leave it in third, turn in is, and again, it's all conditional. If I get a decent run out of the previous corner in third gear, I'm going to hit the rev limiter right about the point that I'm going to need to turn in for the right-hander. So I'm still trying to then seeing if I can kind of correlate rhythm-wise, spatially where on the track that is, so that if I'm in fourth, I can still kind of do the same thing. But again, with the gearing, if I'm high third and I ease off the gas, the front end's going to get a lot more weight. The turn end's going to be a little bit crisper, a little bit more pointy than if I'm in fourth. But whichever you do, I think the turn end's about here. I'm trying to get my eyes on the inside curbing. If I do it right, I'm going to bring the car through here. I might get on the curbing. I might hook it a little bit. And then on the way out, you can use a heck of a lot of this grass as well. And a couple of times that I've dropped tires on the grass there, I've not gotten time penalty. Now, I'm not saying that you are immune from getting a time penalty. It's just the few times that I've really, used too much of that inside grass, I've gotten away with it. But you'll definitely be in fourth gear. If you're in third gear through there, you'll probably pop it up to fourth. It might even be one of those is that you stay in third to get in, and then pop it to fourth to get the car through that, on the exit. That's something I'll try and work on during the mock race here. But regardless, fourth gear, I'm braking at about the 100 board. Brake down to second, and again hairpin. I'm going to look to late apex it, so I'll probably be a little wide on entry. My apex point is ideally where this last inside yellow curb is, right in here, right where it turns red. That's where I'm looking to apex. Roll back into the throttle. The car will come out a little bit. Gonna late apex it here, going up the hill. I want it on the left side. I'm probably setting up a little bit wider than maybe what the braking line is suggesting. But for these next couple of corners, it is going to be that habit of probably be a little bit wide and then bring the car in late, late apex, front wheel drive car. That's my philosophy, and we'll see how it plays out. Though it does get risky if someone decides they really want to try and stick their nose in on there. So if I got somebody right behind me, I might take a slightly more defensive line, and either when I coming up the hill here for this right-hander, I might just put it more in the middle of the track, and then still try to keep it in the middle and then late apex it. But through here, second gear, maybe third, depending on my mood. Looking for the inside yellow curb to help me with the apex. Probably need to dial a little more steering here and cresting the hill, a little bit off camber exit, let the car come all the way out. I am going to use the curbing on the exit. And then we finally head in the last couple of turns. So for here, I'm using the end of the curbing as the braking point. Still working on the gearing here for this. I think I can do it in third if I get the braking right. But what I don't want to do, it's so easy. I think we've gotten so used to the Grand Prix circuit, especially your first couple laps, you may find that you're carrying too much speed into this corner. It is a sharp 90 degree right-hander. So getting the braking done, especially if you're going to try and leave it in third, is important. I would try not to avoid abusing the inside curbing. Just a couple times I've done it, it's like, the car doesn't feel right. But if I do it right, maybe just get on the red and white curbing here on the inside. Third gear, I'm trying to avoid going all the way out to the left side. I want to try and keep it mid-track, maybe a little bit to the left at worst. So that I can bring the car back over and get set up for the chicane. I'm using the gantry here as the braking point, and down to second gear into, I just call this the death chicane, especially when we get into traffic. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of rubbing and is racing going on here, but my general philosophy is I am going to abuse the crap out of the curbing as much as I can. So I'm going to just go ahead and just jump the curbing in here, though at speed it'll be a little nicer than that is. But this one especially, if I can get the run through here, if I can bounce across the inside curbing there and get into the gas on the way out, and then setting up for the last corner, I think I'm in third gear at this point. I'll turn the car in. You can on the wheel you can turn the car in. You can stay mostly full throttle as you're starting to go in. What you're probably going to need to do, and again, this is my philosophy here, when I feel the front start to go past the slip angle, my preference is to just crack the throttle just a little bit, let the tires grip up, and they just need to grip up for a moment at apex, and then you can start rolling back into the throttle. The other philosophy is you just keep the throttle on and you just crank the wheel. that may work. But if you've already passed the slip angle of the tire, just be wary of putting more steering in, because then it's still going to take time for that tire to regrip up to maybe keep you on line. Plus, you're going to be overheating the tires. You're going to be putting excessive wear. So I would always advocate, maybe the first instinct is just to correct the throttle a little bit, give the front tires a chance with the angle you've put in. And if I do that lift, it'll be right about at the apex where you can see the inside grass has been chewed away. Then roll back into the throttle. And then out to the left side, you can use a little bit of the exit curbing if you can. And that's Catalunya National with the touring car. So with that, let's go ahead and let's, put my money where my mouth is and actually see if I can do what I've been preaching for the last 45 minutes here. Let's go ahead and exit. Go ahead and quit race. Excuse me. Advanced setup. And okay, so Hyundai. And let's go ahead and we'll load in the options again. I'm going to make a couple of adjustments because I think I'm going to make 2 changes. I think I'm still going to start 10 seconds back, but I'm going to change the order on the drivatars to see if I can. I'm trying to bunch them up a little bit more. The lead pack got a little too far out. But let's go ahead. So we're rolling. Oh, wait, let me get this set right. We're at Catalunya. We are at the National Circuit. And we are going to do 18, 19, 20. We're going to do 20 laps for this one. See what happens. Starting time of day random, rolling 40, random weather. I'm not going to run rain though. And me, them, I think that's going to be, I keep forgetting to roll off delay. I am going to drop that down by 5 seconds. Hang on a second. The group roll off delay. That's 0. It's the bucket delay. All right, hang on. I'm kind of relearning. Oh, turn that on. Oh, okay, there's the roll off delay. All right, so the half second's fine. And they should start immediately. I'm going to narrow that to 5. So I made 2 changes. I'm going to start a little bit sooner, and I'm grid ordering it so that the lower PI cars start at the front and the higher PI cars at the back. That should, at least for the drivatars, that should bunch them up because the faster guys are going to have to try and work their way to the front. That might give me a little bit more traffic to play with throughout the race. So that's the hope. Let's go and see what the game gives us. Are you going to give us rain again? Boy, Forza loves rain. I don't. But I like having at least some randomness to this. So we'll do 7 p.m. start. That's fine. Event setup. Sunset's fine. I'm okay with that, Forza. But let's try the raining. Let's try the weather again. It's going to give me dense fog now. Nope. Cloudy. Okay, cloudy at 7 p.m. So we're going to be racing into the night. That'll be good because that'll help also, headlights, darkness. It'll help a little bit with vision. Maybe I can figure out other references. Okay, so for Catalunya, we are looking at tire wear, soft, medium, hard, with 5X tire wear here. The 60% mark hit. It's going to be the same laps as Brands Hatch. So 5, 7, and 9. So soft, medium, hard. 5, 7, and 9 is when I hit 60% during that lap. Now, where it gets fun is the end of the lap on the softs. The softs were over 70%. So, that 60% mark hit early on lap 5, and it's a high dag. It was 66% on the mediums and then 62% on the hards. So soft tires, if their effective usage is 4 laps. If you decide to go over 5, just know that you're going to hit 60 and it's going to get to 70 really, really quick. So 20 laps. Again, I don't know how anybody's going to do it in one stop. Even if you can get an extra lap, 10, 10 and 8, that's 18. It's still a couple laps short. So it's like Catalunya is probably a two-stopper. Again, assuming 20 laps. That's part of why the other reason I'm doing this. So what I'm going to do is, you know, we're going to go on the hards. So let's set. I'd probably put a little more fuel in than I need, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. 5x tire wear. And so yeah, we'll do hards. We'll see if we can get 10 laps out of them, and let's just see how many laps we can get out of them. If I can get 10 at 60, then but still two stops. But at that point, I might as well just switch to, you know, just do one of each. Maybe go to mediums. 816. Huh? You know what? Let's see here. You know what? For sake here, I'm going to run hards and let's see what happens. You know, my brain's trying to do. Again, I always say I can tell you when the tires hit 60%. I just can't tell you what the best strategy is. But I'm looking in kind of the lap counts and like, oh, well, maybe it's a medium soft. You know, if 7.7, if it is 20 laps, you know, but this is why I just need to, I just need somebody, telling me when to pit. And away we go. Oh yeah, that yellow, the course condition light there on the outside is very much easier to see. That'll be helpful. A little bit of a break, still cold tires. Back end likes to step out a little bit. Well, that's not the best way to start a race. It's just a little too much speed in. Do a tire check. Hopefully, if I remember at lap 5, that'll kind of give me an idea of if 10 is possible on the hards in these conditions, or if I need to pit at the end of lap 9. That could have been a little bit better, but of a cadence break. Things are bunching up now. Draft off of you. Look, we're gonna. Thought about seeing if I could put it between them, but it's like, no, let's be safe. talked about. Whoa! Yeah, I need to rethink that chicane. At least the entry to it. Maybe a little bit too aggressive on the curbs on the first part of it. Let's figure that out. Almost hip checked in. Whoa! Oh, that's touring car racing. Okay, Forza, can you please work on your driver tires so that they recognize when I am on the inside? Here. Excuse me.
Penalty is about a second.
Okay, so forget what I said about maybe being able to get away with cutting the grass. Yeah, we could probably, well, we're going to be mid-60s at the end of lap 10. So I think we will do that. So then does make me think that it's probably a medium soft race if it is 20 laps. See, there's that bump I was talking about. You can just hear how the back wanted to step out. Could have been a little bit better. A little bit of a lift at the apex. You know, if you get the line right, And that'll allow you to then roll right back into the throttle all the way out. What I'm trying to do now is the pavement change there, might be a good reference. As we cross that pavement change there, setting up for that right-left chicane, high-speed chicane. You want to be careful of the outside curb there. I barely touched it. If I had been a little bit further over, the back end would have stepped out when I tried to turn in. Too much to the inside, and yeah, I mean, it's 2 stops anyway, so there's really no benefit to try and stretch the hards to 10 laps. Plus, if that 60% estimate still holds true, do 9. I do 7 on the mediums, that's 16. Hey, I can do math in my head. And then that's 4 laps then on the hards, or not sorry, the hards, the softs, to end the race. And then I'm not having to really worry about them, going through high dag on that last lap from like just under 60% to over 70%. So it's a little late. So we will pit this lap and put on some mediums. Out. All right, let's see. How do we get into pit lane again? So out of the chicane. Ah, there we go. Yeah, you're probably going to want to just a light brake, because it's not going to catch you until you get in, to the pit wall. So it'd be easy to mess that one up. Okay. All right, when you exit pit lane. What? Oh my God. I was gonna say you want to keep it to the right and stay on the right side of the white line, but I really can't tell you where to brake because I had somebody slow in front of me. All right. Oh yes, grip. Nope, that's way too much curb. Take advantage of the hot tires. That's the risk of the trail brake as you're turning in. Nope. Now it'd be funny. I'm going to go back and hopefully, if the video desaves, go back and look and see if that's the same drivatar that spun me at the beginning of the race. It'd be funny if it was. That was pretty good. Run there. It's gonna look, but it's peeking just to make sure I get my reference right. A little bit. At this point, I'm not going to try and force anything here on USMC. Just want to stay close enough to maybe get the run out of the final corner, down the front stretch so I can be alongside, heading into turn one. There we go, got the draft. And that's the easiest way to make a pass. Turn could have been a little bit better. Late. And another half second.
Total time penalty is about 1.5 seconds.
Why can't you just say 1.2? I'm down this second though. I don't really need to be. Too far out, at least for my liking. I can get both of them on the front stretch. A little wide, but get both, but I think I can get lobster here. Yeah, I'm going to take a shot. A little bit late. I didn't catch the 150 until too late, so that could have been a little bit better. This left. Not what I want to do on my in-lap. Stupid sneeze. Way too much curb. Experimenting on something. Am I going to get a penalty for that? Yeah, it's like how aggressive can I be going into the pits, and not get a time penalty. Okay, so hopefully I have a clear pit out this time. So yeah, when you get released, keep it to the right of the white line, and let's see where I need to brake here. Probably where the blend line is across the track is the best place, but let's find out because I haven't actually practiced this yet. Yeah, just past the 100 board is probably best. If you're going to brake for this chicane, it's not a bad idea. If you want to do a little brush brake, it's best to do it while the car is straight. So before you have to turn in. If you're starting to turn in and you tap that brake, the back end's going to want to step out. It's not snappy loose, but it is uncomfortable loose. Okay, so maybe for next track guide, I will save these settings and back me up a little bit more. I mean, I like winning, but yeah, it'd be nice to be in a little bit more traffic. Whoop! How did I hit there? Must have just gotten the left sides off. Yeah, that's that bump I was talking about earlier. Hey, give me another half second. When I was practicing or doing tire testing, I would do that and get no penalty, so lulled me into a false sense of security. I still think I'm a little bit late on the exit, on the chicane. Still sorting that out. 2 laps to go. Definitely break between the 150 and 100 boards there on the soft tires. Yeah, so what you don't want to do is if you're going to turn in is, so that was a bad example there. If you're turning in and you brush the brake, just be careful of the back end wanting to step out. You really don't need to brake heavily for that fast right left. Yeah, the important thing there too for that chicane is once you get off, once you've turned left into the first curbs, you want to try and get the wheel straight before you get to the second one. Give the weight, give the car a chance to get its weight centered back up before you throw it the other direction. Minor tire wear, good to know. That's Catalunya National and this Hyundai Elantra touring car. Yeah, it looks like my estimate's been low, so 21 laps is probably going to be the distance. So let me just take a screenshot of that in case the video on demand doesn't save. But yeah, I would say 21 laps here because that'll throw just enough time on the race timer. So then that does make it still a 2-stop strategy at that point, and then it's now 14, 21. That's yeah, soft tire. It's gonna be risky. So we'll find out what Matt comes up with on the actual race distance, but I would say 21 laps is likely. But with that, oh wait, I get the victory podium, so I gotta celebrate. Yeah, I don't know much else to say. It's been a long stream here. Cobra, yes. Haha. So with that, I'm going to call it an afternoon. Hope you guys having a good weekend. Fingers crossed that the video on demand saves, because ultimately, I can chop it up and throw it up on YouTube, which is when I share the links. But if you were watching this live and you learned anything great, if not, well, put it this way: you either learned what you should do, or maybe by my example, what you shouldn't. So either is valuable in that sense. So again, hope you guys having a great afternoon. For you guys in Total Forza, we'll see you on Thursday night, and happy racing.